Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah! We got it! We got it!
New 52 book.
Somebody clip this one.
Welcome to Comics League. I am Jared, and today we are doing a review, a spoiler review of Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. So let's get started in this. So the way I'm going to structure this, I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, the Crisis things as a series, the Crisis movies, and where to now? Where could I see DC animation going? So let's get started. The good. I felt they used the cameos really well, because really what this was, I saw people complaining that like they got rid of the DCAU. They did this. They did this. If you're watching a movie called Crisis on Infinite Earths, yeah, what do you think is going to happen in a movie that involves the DC multiverse? Yeah, they're going to take it out. That's generally the way this works. So that was the first thing. But I think the cameos are pretty cool, particularly the Kevin Conroy cameo, which I felt, since this is obviously his last time voicing Batman, short of the Suicide Squad DLC that should have come out. But my point is, in terms of like a last thing that he recorded, I gotta say this was 100% like the most respectful way for that character to go out, where he goes, "I care, Joker," and he basically says, "If the world's gonna end, if it's gonna end, it's gonna end with me being Batman." And I'm like, I'm sorry, that is fan freaking tastic. The second really good part is Wonder Woman, and I've said this in the Comics League show, on CLD, on Super Wonder Legacy. Good God, this was the first time. And this is really a congratulation for the Tomorrowverse in general. This was the first time Wonder Woman was actually respected in animation. Because I'm sorry, DCAU, they made it very clear it did not like Wonder Woman. I'm sorry, that is not Wonder Woman. So number one. Number two, the DCAMU started good. The problem is when you get to like Death of Superman or such, she gets into the area of being like a mouthpiece for editorial, essentially saying, "Oh no, Lois, you're who Clark's supposed to be with." And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. That is completely stupid. So in this, it's like, no, it's just Wonder Woman doing Wonder Woman things. And the fact that she is the one that sacrifices herself to like create the one Earth. She essentially sacrificed herself for the multiverse. That is 100% what Diana would do. And what's interesting is this is kind of a reference, unintentional, to a Superman Wonder Woman issue from the new 52. And I'll have the visual up here, where Lois asked Diana, "Do you guys like have a special understanding about like the world and such?" And then Wonder Woman goes, "No, the world comes first." In other words, they put being superheroes above their relationship. And you know what? This worked. And I think this showed this pretty well. So now we're going to get to the bad. The animation of and this is really a ding on the Tomorrowverse in general, but the animation is a little rough. However, I don't necessarily, this doesn't affect my score per se. Here's why. Because when I was talking to Sam Leo about this, he brought up that, yeah, the animation is going to look rough because guess what? They don't have a big budget whatsoever on animation. They just don't. So the way I normally evaluate this is, hey, based upon the resources available to them, that's what we all have to realize. Based upon the resources that they had available to them, I think they did a pretty good job. And honestly, if it's a good story, I can look past shaky animation at worst. That's why I can do it. If it's a good story, I'm fine with it. So that's really the bad from what I can see here. Now, as a series, I will say, if you're going to watch Crisis Part 3, if you haven't already but want to watch it, watch parts 1 through 3 together. Because you know what? It will flow so much better. In fact, actually, watch War World 2. Because here's another good thing about this movie. It fixed my critique of War World. Because my critique of the War World movie was all those previous shorts, which like the Wonder Woman as a cowboy and Batman as a barbarian. I didn't think they really had any effect on the overall story. But the thing is, they referenced them in Crisis in Part 3. So you know what? It made those actually important. So on that note, I'm like, okay, you know what? I can see the value of that now. So it actually improved Warworld. But as a series, yeah, so watch those 3 together because they tell one continuous story throughout it, and you'll appreciate it more. That's the thing. A critique that I saw recently about Crisis is that Part 3 is great. They should have done it as 2 movies, combining 1 and 2, and then just making this Part 2, in other words. Now, the last thing I'm going to say before I get to where to now is they finally answered what Flash did at the end of Dark Apocalypse War to start this new universe, and it was. So Constantine put like a spell on Flash that turned him into a walking plague. He didn't know this at the time, and sent him to go essentially kill Darkseid. And the thing about it is, the reason why the reason why the crisis happens is because Darkseid is a multiversal constant, and that is true according to DC Comics lore. There's only one Darkseid. If you take out Darkseid, the entire system starts to collapse. So that's why you get like this explosion of worlds, which honestly, that's not a bad way to set up a crisis. So I'll take it. Now, where to now? All right. In terms of where to now, honestly, I think what they're going to do, honestly, the next guy comes in, and I guarantee you he's going to ignore all these destroyed universes, except for DCAU, because you can't bring that back without Conroy. And since he unfortunately passed away, they're not going to return to it. They're not going to give it the X-Men 97 treatment. So that's the one universe I think they'll keep dead. But the other ones, I could see them coming back, particularly if they like continue the DC animated shows like Harley Quinn and Superman. So inexplicably, essentially just ignoring Crisis. That's really where I think it goes. Or just restarting the multiverse, because here's the thing, though. If there's going to be Elseworld stuff with the animation and stuff, and James Gunn's universe is going to also have its own animated portion. They need it the multiverse to exist. So really, wiping it out is kind of a bad idea. And I read that they jumped the gun with it because these changes were implemented when WB was changing over, and like James Gunn was coming in, so they didn't know what they were going to do. So they decided kill it, which that's another example of WB jumping the gun, and we know they always do that. But all in all, I think what we're going to do is we'll get a bunch of one-off movies per se, and maybe when if they decide they want to go in that direction again, we'll get like an animated universe. What they should do, and I've seen a lot of different content creators talk about this, is bring back that DC Showcase thing where they had all these animated shorts. I think that would be really cool. You don't have to say these exist in the universe. Just have them show up, and you can showcase different characters like Black Adam, like Black Canary, like Command-D, the last boy on Earth. You could do all these things, and it still work. But I think that's a good place to leave it. So my review of Crisis is I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because Crisis Part 3, because it had such an emotional story. Now, Was it the best as an adaptation? No, because guess what? It wasn't an adaptation. This is what people are forgetting. It's not an adaptation of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's a story inspired by Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's it. It is in no way an adaptation of Crisis except for the multiverse thing. That's it. So that's why I see it. And yeah, and as a respect for Wonder Woman, it gets bonus points, so maybe 9.5 really, is that because it's so rare for Wonder Woman to get the respect that she deserves. So drop below your ratings of Crisis, what you liked, what you didn't like, and let me know if I'm wrong, actually, in the description. So on that note, consider becoming a member, because if you become a member, you get these 1 day early. So this is coming out to the public on Wednesday. You normally get these on a Tuesday if you're a member, Tuesday night. And you get access to members exclusive live streams where I talk about the comic books I've read for that month. You also get access to members only like screenings, because we're going to be screening all 3 parts of Crisis soon. I'm going to figure out a day to do that. And yeah, stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lame. She belongs with General Zod. Zoe is the Maxibat for life. I'll see you later.